Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Instagram Live, Sensual Sovereignty Burn the Box, with my beautiful guest, Sasha Ostara. I am going to do a little introduction and then get her on. So, Sasha is a somatic feminist, a creatrix of Vulvalchemy. She's a VITA certified sex, love, and relationship coach. She specializes in female sexuality and Jade Egg, and is also an ontological integral coach, an integrative somatic trauma healer, and a womb healer. And Sasha is also identifies as a neurodivergent feminist, storyteller, writer, Tarotista, which I have experienced her skills in as a Tarotista, a witch, and a fierce devotee of the universal goddess. Yay! So I'm so excited to get her on. I'm also realizing for the first time I changed my setup and I don't have the same mic that I usually use, so hopefully you can hear me. Oh, here we are on this full moon in Libra. Here we are. I did invite you, Sasha. I'm waiting to get her on. Yeah, and it just feels like a very, very potent time. Okay. Sasha, I'm inviting you over and over. Can you get it? Come join us. This is when the tech seems to fail us. Okay, here we go. Well, tech difficulties, and I don't have my mic. There you are. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. And I've done this so many times, and it's still like, you know, every time it's different. I'm just going to pin this. Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
and
sometimes it's a little messy.
It was saying I couldn't invite you, and then, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So glad that it worked. I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you so much.
So good to have you. So good to have you. Can you hear me? Because I didn't set up my usual mic, and so it's just the phone.
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We're both here. We can hear each other. Yay. So I feel like we really have known each other for a long time and been a part of each other's journeys in some ways or another. The theme for this whole series has been this concept of sensual sovereignty that was really in my world for a while, and to have these conversations, to breathe more life into it. And the idea is that I have for it is embodied love, liberation, and the license to expand the expression of our true essences, like really be more of our true essence. And then with my first guest, Cosmos MD, this idea of burning boxes, like expanding out of boxes, came through as well. That really resonated for me. That was in her bio, you know. I just thought, oh yeah, that definitely resonates for me. So I wonder, with your journey, and here we are in a full moon, and And yeah, whatever feels alive for you about this, about expanding out of boxes, or
I love the topic, and I love the wording. It holds so much power. The burning the box, it feels really enticing and really alive in my body as well. I feel like just the fact of being, just the fact of being women, or in this case, I know that not everybody with wombs it's a woman, but in this case, women that have been born with wombs and identify as women, it's challenging. It already invites a box. It already invites a space of struggle and stories that accompany this this biology, this being, this way of being, and then the fact of being women of color adds up to this struggle and to this constant having to prove ourselves, having to walk against the odds of a patriarchal society that pushes us down. So it's a journey. It's a journey full of challenges. And then adding to it this third part, which is embodying our sensuality, daring to be not only women of color, but women that dare to embody their sexuality, to reclaim it as ours. It's a rebelliousness in itself. It's occupying a space that was not safe for us.
right.
And even so, we reclaim it. We step into the stage and said, "Yeah, we are gonna take it because this is our right. We were born for this." And it is full of challenges, but it's one of the most beautiful and powerful challenge ever, to say yes to this invitation of our bodies and reclaim our sexuality.
Oh, it's so beautifully expressed, Sasha. The layers and the layers of this whole idea of what we reclaim in our bodies, of really, as I hear you, it reminds me of how this is a brave journey. Like it's not something that's been paved for us, for most of us, in any kind of way, and especially as women of color. Like this is going into territory that has been in the past, has been in our, like, each, we're like women of color, such a big, that's so many, that's actually the majority in the world. Right?
Yeah.
But so that encompasses a lot. It's not like this is just one thing, but in most of the lineages going back, this was dangerous. This was dangerous to be in our really be in our bodies, in our sexuality, in our feminine kind of energy. I think that this is how it got so suppressed in the first place, right? Is that it was a threat, and to express it in these ways would have been really life-threatening at a certain time. And now, yes, you and I have had some messages, like, maybe if you feel comfortable to speak to that at all, because there's still threat. There's still threat out there to claim this for ourselves, to claim our sensuality, our sexuality, to be, I don't know what's coming to me. It's like, I'm blanking on the word, but really to be in group together, like to be supporting each other.
Yeah. That's such an important aspect of it. So the odd part is that it is us, women of color, that have been called it. And I love the term that Resma Meneken uses. He says people of culture, right? I love to use that term instead of color because at the end of the day, we carry the culture. We have been carrying our cultures that have been always so deep into the senses, into nature, into aliveness as nature. And then we were all colonized. There has been a huge wave of colonization. Colonization not only looks like whiteness, colonization looks, of course, like patriarchy. They have been working together beautifully, whiteness and patriarchy. And the very first ones to suffer the consequences of this colonization have been specifically these holders of culture, these women of culture that have so much to share, and yet again are the ones that are kept in the dark and that are kept quiet, and that those whose wisdom is minimized. So my experience is that patriarchy has this tendency to infantilize and minimize women. And when it comes to women of color, it diminishes us into the realm of ignorance. So not only are we children-like, we are ignorant children. They are coming to bring us their wisdom. And the truth is that it feels scary and threatening to say the opposite. Our voices are silenced by a system. Like, it's literally a system that pushes us down. It's not a person, it's not a gender, it's not an economy, it's a whole system built of many different blocks that keep pushing us down and silencing our voices. So, and it seems like many things. It seems like one of the stories that resonates the most for me about that is precisely the story of this girl that was gang raped in India, and how one of the reasons that the rapist used as a justification for their crime was that they had to teach her her place, that she was kissing and making out with her boyfriend outside at night, so she needed to be reminded of her place. They needed to give her a lesson, so they did that brutality to her. So we see that here in Mexico every day. Women who dare to embody their sensuality, to go out dressed the way they want to when the weather is hot or cold or whatever excuse we have to wear whatever the fuck we want. It's immediately seen as a threat, and then it's immediately seen as a justification to use violence against us. So that's something that I speak loudly and constantly about. It's for us women using our bodies. It's a revolution. It's rebelling against a system that uses our bodies as a way to push us down, as a way to manipulate us, and to say you cannot show up as sensual and beautiful as we naturally are, because that's a threat to our own existence. And it's important to see that and to name that, and therefore to recognize the monster we're facing, so that we take the power away from that monster and reclaim it into our own bodies again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that reminder. And I actually wasn't even aware of, I thought when you start talking about the incident in India, I hadn't heard about it, but it does make very real that this is very present. This isn't something that it used to be this way, or, that it's not threatening right now, in the that we're in, to actually express ourselves. Like, I would really say it's like expressing our true essence, whatever that is. So our sensuality, our sexuality being very much a part of that, but like just being able to be in the world and be expressed as we want is still threatening.
Yeah.
You know, it can be really life-threatening um, in certain ways, in certain cultures, in certain places, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Mexico being one of the biggest examples for that, right? Like we are dealing with so much insecurity when it comes to women, and that's when our medicine it's so important. The medicine of actually daring to embrace these bodies of ours and be loud about that. Be loud about the fact that we are not just sitting down and be nice girls to exchange that for our safety. To be loud about the reclamation of our sensuality. That's how we are changing the paradigm. We tried playing by the rules for too long, by the rules of being nice girls,
Yeah.
and it didn't work. It didn't make us safer. Now it's time to play by our rules, the rules of sensuality, the rules of embracing what it's like to be alive in these beautiful bodies of ours unapologetically. And in order to do that, it's not just to shift that mentally and to say, yeah, I'm going to go out and wear whatever I want. But it's about creating a strategy that allows us to do that. One of those strategies is togetherness. It's being with other women that are moving in the same direction so that we are protecting one another. That's one of the most powerful strategies that we can use to embrace this sensuality. It's really creating a community, moving together so that we create safety around us. So that's for me a very important thing. Yeah, we need to burn the box and we need to do it together. Because if we just keep doing it in isolation, we are just candles that are susceptible to anybody's strong wind to turn it off. So we need to move together to create a burning fire that it's actually going to shift the spaces where we move.
Yes. Oh, yes. I love that. I love that image. Thank you for the reminder. And the word came back that I couldn't find earlier of solidarity. Like, really, that solidarity. Like, this is a lot of what this is too, is that we are supporting each other. We're there for each other. We're inspiring each other. And through that, especially, you know, in the coaching world or in healing worlds, whatever, we're helping a lot of other people, hopefully, to take these steps, you know, because that's where it can feel scary, it can feel isolating, it can feel like, oh, you know, because we have all this conditioning, so much conditioning, as you mentioned, patriarchy, colonization, white supremacy, like we have all of that we're holding, and it really does take people like the work you're doing, you know, of like really standing, being unapologetic about the message and about who we are and about how we express in our bodies and about bringing that forward so that others can kind of like bring their candle with and be like, yes, I'm going to, you know, join and let's burn brighter together. Let's really be there for each other. Yes. Oh.
That's why what we are doing here with these calls, it's so important. Like we really need to connect. We really need to make that shift. And another important aspect of that is we need to do that consciously, giving voices to the ones that have less representation out there, which is usually women of color, right? Like I have seen with sadness and with rage, honestly, how the world of sensuality and sensual embodiment has been taken over by white women, and everybody listens to white women, and there is an immediate sense of authority given to white women. But then I feel like these voices of ours, so many women out there, like us, women of culture, women that have so much wisdom to share, not just because we read it or took a class, but because we experienced that in our daily lives. Because for us, this has been about our own survival. Because for us, this has been a revolution for our own right to live and to express ourselves every day. We have had less representation. So it's important to, again, move together, speak together, create spaces of togetherness and solidarity, and to actually make a shift with this. Like, now that you speak about the word solidarity, I would like to share something about that. Here in Latin America, the word sisterhood, hermandad, was not used until the 90s. It was used only to refer to nuns, but it wasn't used to refer to other women getting together. So we didn't use the word sororidad, or which is sisterhood in Spanish. We didn't have a word for it. It started being used in the 90s as a response to the murders of hundreds of women in the border of Mexico and USA in Ciudad Juarez. So feminists started getting together to create an awareness about what was going on and to create a response, because we just couldn't let women being murdered and not do anything at all. So the response was that word, a translation of that word that started being used in the USA in the 70s by the feminist movement in the 70s, which was and earlier in France and the UK. But it's so new. It's actually new. The word sororidad, the word sisterhood, it's this new. I am older than the word sororidad in my country. So, and the thing is, it's so important. It's the one thing that makes a change, and it was born due to the need of us getting together and supporting one another. So that is our response as women empowering one another. We are doing this as a way of creating a safe container for us to keep on moving safely in a culture that usually pushes us down, and that in countries like mine, in Mexico, where I am so happy that you are as well, it is an issue of life and death. So that's why we created these spaces.
Sororidad, is that what you said?
Yeah, sororidad.
That's so beautiful. Yes. Just to imagine that a new word came through from all of this to represent that. So needed. What wasn't there, right? Like joining, coming together and supporting one another, and feeling that power in numbers, in groups of women. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm just saying, yeah, that's amazing.
I wanted to hear if you had something. But what you said before that, so there's the sororidad, and how this emerged, how this word emerged, how this movement emerged, and what you said before that, like, really landed for me. And partly it's because I had a whole conversation, it was earlier in the morning here, and it was with someone in South Asia, like on the other side of the world, about this whole idea of how white women have really taken over this. I mean, that's the face that you see, and that's like the voice that we hear mainly when it comes to this work of embodiment, sexuality, sensuality, all of this. And I just, that's what's coming through. but there's so much there. It's so loaded for me right now. It's so charged, this whole topic, because I have gratitude, definitely, for how we met our teacher, Leila Martin. I mean, I found her work while I was over living in Sri Lanka. That's where my roots are. My parents are originally from there. And I have gratitude because I knew I needed to explore this for myself, but I didn't know how to do it, or like I didn't have any guide for going into that exploration. And I also, there were some things that I just didn't trust. Like I was over there at the time, this was several years ago, and I looked into Tantra, and and there were a lot of things like in Thailand, for example, and different retreats, whatever, but I just was so, I didn't feel comfortable to actually go and do anything with people because I just didn't know what it was going to be. But it did feel safer to me to have found, actually I had found her before, I just forgotten, I just put shit away, but to find again Leila's work and now be more ready for it. So I can express gratitude for that, for sure. And also it's interesting to me that there aren't more, I mean, it's not surprising, I suppose, but it is interesting that there are not more like people of color, women of color doing this work. Like our faces aren't, our work isn't, it doesn't take as big of a platform, I mean, yes, platforms like Instagram, of course, whatever, but like even just larger, like the voice doesn't, what you said about authority really landed for me, because it's like white women can come in and they can say the things, and I too was like, oh yes, like I need to do this work, and I'm grateful for it. It's like there weren't a lot of voices out there, that I found then.
That's such a painful reality. That the thing is, it hurts. We, as you know, both things can coexist, right? Like we can love and have gratitude and appreciate the white women that have that have opened these spaces, because their representation and their work and their body of work are the ones that are opening doors. And at the same time, we can be furious about the fact that it's white women and that we don't see ourselves out there. And that the other day I was just looking at my Instagram feed, and I found an amazing post by a Black teacher of anti-racism, and she was just saying that exact, like these words, I took them from her. She said that she has been working. She was speaking just like us right now, with a white woman that does the same work that she does, and she said, it is so painful to see that the moment a white woman speaks, there is authority given to her, so everybody sees her as the expert in the field, and then this other woman that has been doing the work for more years than the white woman that she was talking with, that have been working on anti-racism for longer, with her own life experience of a Black woman, had to deal with having constantly to prove herself to people that were interested in her work. Like they were actually asking her for proof every time they were going to sign up to her program. Like, can you really tell me that this is going to work? Is this really for me? What experience do you have? Where did you learn? Like, they really got through so many questionings that the white woman didn't have to go through. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we go through all the time. Like, I know that has happened to me. Like, of course, I don't have the years that Leila has in this field, but I have years of women empowerment before that. Like, I have been somebody that started her journey very early. I started learning to training as a priestess when I was 12. So I have 30 years of experience in women's empowerment. And the truth is that I say something and I hear crickets, and then a white woman says something similar, and everybody's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm so grateful that you're bringing awareness to this topic. I'm just like, this is something I just mentioned last week.
Oh my God. Just feel the pain of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And it can really be painful and frustrating. Like, we feel that invisibility cloak around the fact that our own life experience of women of color that have lived so many things to get to the point where we are standing, it's nullified because they don't see there is whiteness. That's what it is. It's white supremacy internalized. We don't need to be white to look at the world through the eyes of white supremacy. We have internalized that, and that white supremacy tells us that white women are the ones that know the way, that they are wise, that they are the ones that can lead. And the truth is that they learn usually from a woman of color before. It's just that they don't have the habit of normalizing bringing out their teachers and speaking about these women of color that set up the road for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ooh. You said so much. It's so good. I just like sitting with it. I really want to celebrate you, Sasha, for 32 years. Like 32 years of walking this path of doing all of this work is just immense. That's your lived experience that you bring into everything that you're offering now, of course, but that you have brought to um, all the people that you've helped, all the work that you've done, just want to honor that. That's huge.
Thank you. Yeah. I started as a baby. I was just 12, but that's the thing. Like, the amazing thing is that place where I started learning was a sanctuary built by Black women. It was just Black women teaching their magic, teaching their power. So for me, to witness white supremacy was something very new that I just discovered in my Mexican bubble very recently. And not that it doesn't happen here, because of course Mexican is a very racist country and we need to recognize that and to name that. But the truth is that we don't really get to see that by what it is until later on when our eyes are open to that. So yeah, it's the truth is that it is something that has been going on forever. It's just that we not always discover it at the same time.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes, and I can relate to the part of well, I can relate to what you shared in terms of my own experience of not really being aware of swimming in the water of white supremacy, like pretty much my whole life, and not really ever understanding that or questioning that so much until more recently, until more actually doing this work and getting connected to the body more, and then seeing what's oh my gosh, what am I really holding here? But it even though I was born in England, raised in the U.S. I was in it. I wasn't living in it. Only later lived in Sri Lanka. Now I live in Mexico. I'm kind of drawn to these different places to live. But I think it's so insidious. I think that's what so makes it so hard to grapple with, because the unlearning of it, in these recent years only, the unlearning of it has been so eye-opening for me. Oh my gosh, I just accepted that this was how it was. That white people had authority, that they knew things that I didn't, that that this deferring. Resma, who's one of my teachers as well, like he talks about that deferring that just happens automatically. It's like it's not a question. It's something we don't often question. It's just like we defer to white people. We defer to white teachers. We defer to the white body. The body culture defers to the white body. The black body defers to the white body. It's just happening because it's like this so insidious, like the air we breathe. It's like that. It's like we can't really avoid it.
And that it's actually encoded in our bodies. Like when we try to access our pleasure, we deal with this invisible barrier, and we don't really know that it's there until we learn to name it, to see it. But the truth is that I find that it is our bodies that are so full of aliveness, one aliveness that has been colonized precisely of how scary it is, the depth that it has, the powerful fire that our bodies hold. So the response has been to objectify them, to make them less than human. Like I see that as a Mexican, that the moment we dance, like that we Mexicans listen to music and immediately we're up on our feet. Like we just can't listen to music without moving, without dancing. That's just encoded in our bodies. And then to find that sensuality, that it's part of who we are, it's seen by white culture as an object, as something that they objectify, that they deem extravagant and kind of sexualized. And that's funny because it's sensual, because it's ours to enjoy, but it's not something to be sexualized by others. So there's such a difference in that view. Like it can be ours to enjoy, and that's amazing, but the moment somebody else deem us less than human by objectifying us in a sexual way, we become less powerful immediately, because it's that power that we had of connecting to rhythm becomes an object of desire, of use and abuse, when it's for us to connect to life.
Yes. Oh, I love how you express that, and it's so true. It's like I think that there is just this palpable power of seeing that, just like you said, like the body just moving. This is an expression of the true essence, right? Like there's music, and then it's like the body wants to move however it wants to move, in a sensual way, it could be sexual way, whatever it is, just playful way, whatever it is. But that is, I think, what's coming to me as I hear this, and I have witnessed as well, is that is threatening in some way. Just that expression. And so then it's like what happens, and it gets into, yes, now it's erotic, like it's sexualized, and it's put into this objectification or whatever. It's put somewhere where now it doesn't feel so powerful. It doesn't feel so threatening to do that. And I think in what I have observed in being here in Mexico, in Mexican culture, and I was just I was having this conversation with one of our other, from VITA, one of our sisters, Carrie, a Black woman, who was talking about this as well, is this kind of like this polarization where it's either like sexualized or it's otherwise kind of like there's the archetype of like the caretaker, like this mother figure, or this, and so then it's put into that. But it's kind of like there's something that happens that is not actually honoring this expression of the true essence, this Shakti, this like power, this embodied power that is there with, that can show up with music and show up in different ways, but you know, that movement that's happening. I think there's some reaction that's like put it over here and put it over here, and then it's not so threatening. You know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's such an important part of the conversation, and that feels very personal to me, because one of the reasons why I ended up studying with Leila was precisely because I had been caged from a very early age. I was just 23. I look at myself right now and I'm like, oh my God, you were a baby. But I had been caged from that early age in the box of a mother. And I was just a mother. And you know, mothers are not sexual. Mothers are not to be desired. So I was looking at that with so much sadness, because every time somebody called me a mother in my environment, it felt like saying, you are not sexy, I don't want you. And that's what was going on with my relationship. My husband was not remotely attracted to me. And which is so sad to say, because that was really making me at some point want to give up my sexuality. Like I was just about to say, okay, well, at least once I had a lover that made me feel beautiful, and I guess that's it, you know, like before I met my husband. And then I had this awareness of, no. I cannot just let my sexuality die, because with my sexuality came my laughter, my desire to move, to enjoy life, to enjoy my life experiences, my desire to dance, my loudness, my feeling sexy and taking care of my body to feel even more alive in it, you know. I realized, because I started to lack that energy, how many things were connected to my sexuality. So it wasn't just about being desirable. That was the least of the things, because there's always somebody that's going to find you desirable. It's about the fact that you feel right. There's always we say in Mexico, siempre hay un roto para un descosido. There's always somebody that wants you no matter what you look like. But the thing is that so many things are connected to our sexuality. It's just feeling alive in our bodies. And the moment we give up on that, we give up on our own life force. And that's the tragedy of it. That the moment people it's trying to control our sexual energy, which they do constantly in our cultures, in patriarchy in general, they are not only limiting our capacity to connect to sex, they are limiting our capacity to connect to our body in a way that feels alive, that it's static, and that it's just exponentially touching other people, you know, and that's threatening. That aliveness, that loudness, that freedom, that carelessness, that innocence, that joyfulness, that's threatening to a system that thrives on using that energy for the benefit of just a few, instead of letting us give it freely to those that need it. Because the beauty is we can nurture others from that space. We can actually become joyful nurturers. We can be a mother that I am a mother that fills her household with songs and games, and we play and we laugh, and it's a very physical kind of loving one another. I'm always squeezing them and telling them how much I love them, you know, and making a song out of anything. Like we have a song about the dirty dishes, you know. There is this sensual way of existing that it's limited when we put women in the box of either the sexy object or the nurturer, because that takes the life away from us. And that life is so generous that it's obviously scary for those that try to keep us in those little boxes.
Oh. I just love that. Then the whole image of you and your kids, and how you kind of integrated integrated these different pieces. I mean, who says that mothers are not sexy? Who says that mothers are sensual and alive? And like, of course they are. It's like just part of that essence of the energy of creation embodied, you know, in mothers. But yes, we can put them into, and we ourselves can do it, you know, for ourselves, even like putting ourselves into like, oh, I'm no longer this other way or whatever. So how beautiful that you found that you found that path for yourself and to live that, and to show your children also, you know, like, yes, this is the expression, this is the true expression of our life force when we bring pleasure into day-to-day life, when we bring play, you know, into day-to-day life and all that. That's so beautiful.
And that it goes back to the word that I love that you use, which is sensual sovereignty. I feel like that is such a cue, that it's the one thing that for me it's the most important. It's about being sovereign of our bodies and of our life energy, and to do it for ourselves. Like what a big difference it makes to stop feeling like sexuality is about the intercourse or the exchange that we have with the person, and when we make it about how we connect to our own bodies, to our own energy, to our own life force, and from there it becomes a self generating fuel. It just keeps giving and keeps giving, because we're not expecting or needing anybody else to give us that energy. We are those generators, and that's the beauty of being women. Like, we know we are self-generating. I don't want to say machines, but we are beings, self-generating beings that just keep giving more and more and more, because we have that power in us of connecting to nature. That is our super. Somebody was complaining about the use of superpower, but I love it. Like, that's our superpower, to connect to nature and to get from nature, and then from there to be those invisible, those Bluetooth speakers of that's my phrase. I usually tell my students, like, we are like the Bluetooth speakers of the heart and the energy of the goddess. Like, we connect. She's the one giving the music and the tune, and we just reproduce it loudly everywhere. So I feel like that's our superpower, to get to reproduce that sound and that magic and that love everywhere. But first we need to uncloak that frequency, so that it's full directly of that energy that we are, of that love that we are.
Oh, so beautiful. I love that. And I was thinking that as you were speaking, it was like, I think actually while we were talking, I think it was the exact time of the full moon in Libra. And this full moon in Libra, right, there is something about connecting to each other in this call, but then how you're talking about amplifying and like taking the sound that we're hearing and like spreading it. So the connection to nature and like sharing it and offering it.
I lost you. I don't know if you. I lost your sound. There you are.
Oh gosh, I know. I think it was, here we go. It was because there was a call coming through, and I usually have it on do not disturb, but this time there was just things that didn't have the speaker, the fan going because it's a little warm in here.
Oh, I know. It's so hot in here today as well.
Yeah. I think what I was saying, oh gosh, what I was saying is that when I was talking about full moon in Libra and kind of what you were sharing as well, like this connection to other what are now relationships, and you and I connecting, but then also just talking about how we can guide other women, how we can work to amplify like this connection to nature, anything that we're hearing that is resonating for us in terms of our own sensuality, our own sexuality, and how we can share that with others. And I wanted you to, I was asking for you to repeat again what you had said about this, what you tell your students about the speaker.
Yeah, I think that we're like the wireless Bluetooth speakers. Like, she's transmitting and we're replicating that wave of love and that tune that she's playing for us.
Oh, yes. I love that. I love that. The wireless Bluetooth speakers.
Of the heart. So the complete phrase is, we are wireless Bluetooth speakers of the heart of the goddess. So according to the Mayan tradition, they say that there is this phrase that it's Hun Puxikal, which means one heart. So what they say is that we are all connected through the heart of the goddess. Like that's like the universal spider web that connects all of us. So the phrase that I say about the speakers, it's directed to the heart of the goddess. It's like she sings the tune, this creation force sings the tune. It's her heart that guides the way, and we are hearts of the goddess in the form of speakers, just reproducing that tune to all of those that are ready to receive that love. So it's the moment we're giving love to somebody else, it is the love of the goddess playing through our wireless Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah. It's amazing. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that even more. Sasha, this has been so incredible to have this conversation with you. And as we're almost like into an hour. I used to say 30 minutes and then now it's like, usually they're about an hour. Sometimes they're a little longer, whatever. But I wanted to know, I definitely want everyone to hear about your offerings. But before we get to that, is there anything else that you feel like wasn't said that you'd like to share, or anything that's coming through?
First of all, thank you for opening this space. I've been following your Born the Box calls, and I was like, oh my god, it was amazing. I wish I could talk with her in this space. And then I swear next day you invited me. I was like, oh my god, there's magic in the air. I love it. So thank you for inviting me. And I feel like we have spoken about so many things, and all of them have the same thing in common, which is decolonizing our pleasure, right? Decolonizing our pleasure means also reconnecting to that power that we have already as women of color, because honestly, this is the source where the wisdom that white women are predicating came from. This is the source. Our cultures, the culture of Black women, Asian women, Hispanic women, we are the sources. And they have been teaching things that they learn from our cultures. When they give cacao ceremonies, I'm like,
Yeah, like, huh. Where did you learn that from?
That's funny. Do you want to hear something about cacao? Oh no, I'm just receiving. Sorry, I'm here the only Latina in this space, and I'm just looking at white women giving cacao ceremonies. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, we laugh, but it's so not funny. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, exactly. Like these women, teaching tantra in countries where Tantra was born, right? And they are usually white women. It's like, so something that it's important to mention that we haven't mentioned is precisely what our journey is in decolonizing these spaces. Yes, we're showing up loudly, but we also need to reclaim and recognize the fact that that wisdom came from our roots, and to start naming one another and to start supporting one another and amplifying our voices even more. Like the next cacao ceremony you take, make sure that it's from somebody from Guatemala or Yucatan, and that they are actually trained with shamans, and that, you know, like pay a Guatemala shaman instead of that white lady. You know, make sure that you that every day we invite the people whose culture we are benefiting from into the benefits that we are harvesting. I think that is an important conversation that we need to have. How are we going to actually honor, quote, and constantly direct to the people that we learned from, so that we go back to the sources that are usually people of color.
Yes, thank you. It's so true, and it's like I was having the conversation with a friend here about, you know, there is some more awareness now about how most of us are on like stolen lands, and, you know, like the land of giving land back, or like, you know, trying to work with the land, but there's also the land and the people who shepherded that land, who took care of that land. And yeah, what you mentioned about honoring those people who have held those traditions, it's so important. It's so very important.
Yeah. Like, I have a very not funny story about a woman that denied me, a white woman, an American woman that denied me a ceremony with the Virgin of Guadalupe, which is, it's like my mom, the Virgin of Guadalupe, it's my tradition. And she said, oh, my spirits say that you cannot, my spirits, so the Virgin said that you cannot join the ceremony. Like, Oh. Yeah. Oh, you are silent again. Yeah.
Yes, because the phone call is coming through. That is, it's so wrong. I don't know where to start with that example. It's like, do you have any idea of where that even came from? Like, where is the roots of that tradition?
And that's what we do every day. Like, that's the sad part, that we are kicking people out of their own land through this modern day spiritual colonization, and we're kicking people out of their own traditions and spirituality. Right? And I find that that's important to reclaim. Yeah, the stolen land, and like you said, and the people from that land. That's really, really important. And well, about my program.
Yeah. Please share.
Thank you. I am promoting my group program. This is a space precisely of feminist decolonization of our own pleasure and our own sexuality. The whole purpose of Untamed. The program is called Somatic Feminism Untamed. And the idea is to heal the wounds of patriarchy and misogyny through pleasure. So it's about reclaiming that part that has been taken from us by a culture that steals our spring, steals that beautiful, radiant sexual energy, and uses it against us. So it's a reclamation. It's a healing journey through our grief, our rage, and to connect again to our hearts and our deepest sensual power. So that's what I'm working on right now, and It's a program that starts on May. I am a huge nerd, so I'm starting on May the 4th. The day of Star Wars. I'm like, may the Force be with me. So
Yes.
I was starting earlier, but I moved it. So I was like, which day should it be? Okay, let's be a total nerd about it.
I love being in your
And
own truth.
yeah, exactly. Just joking. Of course, it's not like I want the Force to be with me. I have the goddess with me, but it was like a joke around. But this is a program about a reconnection journey through the goddess. So I am starting in a couple of weeks, and the details are on my Instagram. So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, so beautiful. What a beautiful offering. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that. And I'll have, well, this will be posted on Instagram, so you'll be, people will have access to your Instagram to finding it. And I don't know, well, I guess through your Instagram, probably your website, all of that is there for people to
Yeah.
find your offering.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
I was gonna say, I just almost forgot it, and I just wanted to share that um, your Tarotista skills are really incredible, and I got to experience that earlier this year, or sometime no, the last several months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just my own little
Yeah. Yeah.
sharing
So,
little testimonial of it. Was really amazing, so beautiful, so organic, and very validating of this work, the work that I'm doing. And for anyone else that wants, like, here we are, 2022, and today we're on a full moon, or like if anyone is looking for that kind of guidance with their business, or with something that they're creating, I would give a strong recommendation for that. So
thank you. Yeah, with their personal lives or whatever. So that's my other. I do my coaching, and sided to my coaching, I introduce that as well in my programs now. I do my tarot readings, and that has been such a source of joy, because I get to connect with people in that deep level that the tarot offers, which is such a way of connecting beyond words. It's just the word of the archetype. It just brings such a power to the connection. So thank you. I really love reading for you. And yeah, that's, you can, I do have a link directly to my tarot as well, for everybody who wants to get that. It's straight in my page.
I just had to, yes, definitely recommend that. Oh, thank you, Sasha.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you so much. I feel so blessed to be here with you. Thank you, Sonali. You're so sweet.
I appreciate the feeling of sisterhood that I have with you, and with everyone really I've had on this. It's been so beautiful. It's like it's very much I think the solo entrepreneur kind of world. We're like out there on our own, and I just find it's like just really fills my heart to connect with other people, other women of color, doing various kinds of healing work, whatever. And it's like this amplification. It just feels really big, like a bigger, like being in our heart space, like sharing, like the Bluetooth, the Bluetooth speaker of like, hey, this is so good. Just put it out there, and share what everyone's doing.
Exactly. It's nurturing.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy
so much.
your full moon. And to everyone out there, I'm going to post this. I'm also going to put it on YouTube. It's just been, I don't have a YouTube phone, but it's just an easy way to share from there. So
Amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.